Good afternoon, dear students. So, how are you? Today we are going to start a new lesson, that is the storyteller. The storyteller. Okay. So I'll read this story. You please listen and pay attention. It was a hot afternoon, and the railway carriage was correspondingly sultry. And the next stop was at Telecombi, nearly an hour ahead. So they are in a train carriage, so they are traveling, and the next stop was Telecombi. Nearly it was an hour ahead, means it was an hour to reach Telecombi. The occupants of the carriage were a small girl, and a small boy. Means there were three children: a small girl, again a small girl, and a small boy. Their aunt occupied one corner seat, and the further corner seat on the opposite side was occupied by a bachelor who was a stranger to the party. So, with the three children, there was an aunt who was occupying a corner seat, and on the opposite side of the corner seat was a corner seat, and it was occupied by a stranger, and he was a bachelor. But the small girls and the boy emphatically occupied the compartment. Both the aunt and the children were conversationally in a limited, persistent way, reminding one of the attention of housefly that refuses to be discouraged. Most of the aunt's remarks seem to begin with don't, and nearly all the children's remarks begin with why. The bachelor said nothing at loud. Means the children and their aunt, they were sitting in the compartment, and the children were again and again going here and there. They were playing here and there. So the aunt continuously, she was remarking that don't, means don't do this, don't do that, don't go there, don't speak like this. And the children were again and again remarking why. Means every questions of the aunt was the answer why. So a question was asked, and again the question was replied. And the bachelor was sitting at loud saying nothing. Don't, Cyril, don't, exclaimed the aunt. So the name of the small boy, one of the small boy was Cyril. As the small boy began smacking the cushions of the seat, producing a cloud of dust as he flew. So the small boy who was smacking the cushions, he was smacking the cushions of the seat, producing a cloud of dust as he flew. It was producing dust because when he was smashing the seats, it was producing dust. Come and look out of the window, she added. The child moved reluctantly to the window. Why are those sheep being driven away out of the field? He asked. So the boy was, looking out of the window, and what he saw that a man was, driving away all the sheep of the field. I expect they are being driven to another field where there is more grass, said the auntie weakly. The auntie said that they are driving away the sheep because here there is less grass, and he is driving that sheep to the other grass because there are more grass there. But there is lot of grass in the field, protested the boy. But the boy said, there are lots of grass in that field. Why he is pushing away? There is nothing else but grass there. And there is a lot of grass in that field. Perhaps the grass in the other field is better, suggested the aunt fabulously. Then aunt said, yes, there is also grass there, but the grass in the another field is much better than the grass which is here. Right? Why is it better? Came the swift, inevitable questions. So the boy said, why is it better? The grass are looking the same, so why is it better? Oh, look at those cows, exclaimed the aunt. Nearly every field along the line had contained cows or bullocks. But she spoke as though she was drawing attention to the reality. So the aunt said that, see, there are so many of the cows, so she was driving attention to another thing. Why is the grass in the other field better? Persisted Cyril. But Cyril was not paying attention on the grass. He said, why is the grass better than this field? The frown on the bachelor's face was deepening to a scowl. He was a hard, unsympathetic man, the aunt decided in her mind. She was utterly unable to come to any satisfactory decision about the grass in the other field. So she was thinking about that bachelor, that he is an unsympathetic man, that aunt decided in her mind. So she was trying to accumulate the idea that how to unattend the boy after his questions. The smaller girl created a diversion by beginning to recite on the road to Mandalay. So another girl, his sister, she diverted her mind by beginning to recite a song on the road to Mandalay. She only knew the first line but she put her limited knowledge to the fullest possible use. She repeated the line over and over again in a dreamy but resolute and very audible voice. It seemed to be the bachelors as though some of had a bet with her that she could not repeat the line aloud 2000 times without stopping. Whosoever it was who had made the bragger was likely to lose his bet. Means the someone I think betted with the smaller girl that you repeat the line 2000 times, and she was repeating that sound again and again, again and again, that road to Manly, on the road to Manly, right? So come over here and listen to the story, said the aunt when the bachelor had looked twice at her. So when the bachelor looked twice at her, the aunt said, come to me and listen to that story. The children moved discreetly towards the aunt end of the carriage. Evidently, her reputation as a storyteller did not rank high in their estimation. Means in their thinking, the aunt teller was not a very good storyteller. But again, they wanted to listen to the story, so they went to the aunt for listening that story. In a low, confidential voice, interrupted at frequent intervals by loud, petulant questioning from her listeners, she began an unenterprising and derogatorily uninteresting story about a little girl who was good and made friends with everyone on account of her goodness, and was finally saved from a mad bull by a number of rescuers who admired her moral character. Wouldn't they have saved her if they hadn't been good? Demanded the bigger of the smaller girls. It was exactly the question that the bachelor had wanted to ask. Well, yes, admitted the auntie lamely. But I don't think they would have run quite so fast to help her if they had not liked her so much. It's the stupidest story I've ever heard. Means they said it is the very stupid story that I've ever heard. Said the bigger of the smaller girl with immense conviction. I didn't listen after the first bit. It was so stupid, said Cyril. The smaller girl made no actual comment on the story, but she had long ago recommenced a murmured repetition of her favorite line. You don't seem to be a success as a storyteller, said the bachelor suddenly from the corner. So while she said the story, the bachelor from the corner said, you don't seem to be a success as a storyteller. The aunt bristled in instant's defense at his unexpected attack. So the attack was unexpected. Means the aunt was thinking that the storyteller would say nothing, but he said, it's a very difficult thing to tell stories that children can both understand and appreciate, she said simply. I don't agree with you, said the bachelor. Perhaps you would like to tell them a story, was the aunt retort. Tell us a story. Demand the bigger of the smaller girls. Once upon a time, began the bachelor, there was a little girl called Bertha, who was extraordinarily good. The children, momentarily aroused interest, began at once to flicker. All stories seemed dreadfully alike no matter who told him. She did all that she was told. She was always truthful. She kept her clothes clean, ate milk, puddings as though they were jam tarts, learned her lessons perfectly, and was polite in her manner. So he was telling about a story whose name was Bertha, and she was good at all the things. She was good at cleaning, making food, doing every hard work. Was she pretty? Asked the bigger of the smaller girls. So the girls replied, was she pretty? Not as pretty as any of you, said the bachelor, but she was horribly good. There was a wave of reaction in the favor of the story. Goodness was a novelty that commended itself. Horrible means here goodness. Horrible good means most, very, very good. It seemed to introduce a ring of truth that was absent from the aunt's tales of infant life. So here till now we have completed the story. The next story we will complete in the next period. Okay, the part 2. We have finishes the part 1. The next story will be in the part 2. Okay, thank you.